As soon as we agree upon a plan, you go up and do something crazier. It's almost like you gotta stay one step ahead of me, calling the shots. This quote is from a concerned Diamond, thrown off by Tommy's subversion regarding Vic Flynn. But it sounds nearly identical to a younger Tommy's rhetoric towards his beloved late partner, the legendary Ghostman himself. During season 2, Tommy masterfully conquered his goals in acquiring power in Chicago. Much of the tactics he used were directly inspired by Ghost and the tactics he previously used in gaining power and maintaining power in New York. In today's video, we'll dive into some of those tactics and see in the many ways they made Tommy better and ultimately worse in this past season of Force. Before we begin, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and bell notification to immediately receive these videos. Also, big thank you to all of my channel donors. If you'd like to be the next one, drop $1 on that Cash App for us. And lastly, a spoiler alert is now in effect for all things Power. Here we go. As I stated, Tommy had one goal in mind for season 2, and that was to place himself at the top of Chicago's drug trade. He did so by infiltrating CBI and gaining the backing of Diamond. With Diamond's help and support, he was able to have a crew to call his own, and that was a major component to what he needed in order to gain power on new terrain. Being an outsider, a soloist, and a rogue, he would have never had the opportunity to climb to such a height. However, by involving himself in a crew, he ultimately placed credence and importance on what was going on in the streets, because he had through CBI what he didn't have by himself, a name in the streets. So let's get into some ways that he used that name and that new group to acquire the power. One of the first things Tommy did was initiate beef between the two major distributors of the Estrada Cartel's product, the Serbs controlled by Merkovich and the Mexicans controlled by Miguel. While keeping these two factions fighting, Tommy simultaneously built a relationship with Che, the leader of the Estrada Cartel and the main connect of Chicago's drug network. In addition to this bridge he built with Che, Tommy did another major thing in gaining power. He united all of the rival gang sets in Chicago and put them in a coalition under CBI control, placing himself at the head. Now this is something that we saw Ghost do back in OG Power with his different Primeras. Ghost placed Vibora Ruiz's crew, the RSKs, and the Serbians under his control, maintaining a harmonious relationship between the rival gang sects in the interest of money, for which violence can be a hindrance to. Tommy directly ripped this from his partner and established this new order in Chicago, which is built off segregation, not just in a racial context, but in a street criminal context as well. He learned well from his old brother in the struggle, and although Tommy's plan was for CBI to be Shea's sole distributor, by removing the Serbs, he essentially took their place in the drug trade, placing him at eye level with Miguel, much to the latter's chagrin. Another Ghost tactic that Tommy used was removing any obstacles in his way in the form of the prison system. He did this by getting the Serbs and Claudia arrested by the feds, setting up a situation where the feds will conduct a raid at a location of his choosing only for the wrong group. This raid was reserved for Claudia, the Marquez cartel, and the Serbians, who were all conducting a deal to counteract Tommy and CBI's growing power in Chicago. In doing this, Tommy exercised ambition in taking over the city, strategy in pitting the two distros against each other, while simultaneously building that relationship with the Connect, and most importantly, deception, which was the third angle of his plan. Tommy exercised deception in multiple ways, by withholding parts of the plan and sending D-Mac away, convincing Kate that he was dead. This created a wedge within his own family, something that Ghost also did by using deceptive tactics against his own flock. Ghost in his last days was viewed as a poison to the St. Patrick family, and similarly, Tommy is now viewed as a poison to his own family. By giving his mother drugs and keeping her off the unrighteous path, he obliterated his relationship with his half-brother JP, who now wants nothing to do with them as a result. Tommy always held resentment towards his mother, as was outlined by his many statements against her during this season. Whenever she would try to climb out of the hole of addiction, Tommy was there to keep her trapped, keep her in remembrance, keep her essentially under his thumb. And an argument can be made that during Kate's heart attack in the final episode, Tommy was just about to let her die for all of her transgressions against him in the past, including from childhood leading up to now. This was a coldness that mirrored his old partner, even in the situation with D-Mac and sending him away. This is something that Ghost would have done to preserve himself, his business, and his interests. Tommy was moving like this throughout the season. And just like with Ghost, many of these maneuvers have backfired on him in the final summation. But perhaps the linchpin in this correlation are the love interests that the two share. You see, Ghost thought that he could have it all by maintaining his criminal stature and his love with Angela. He thought that by trying to get out the game, it could massage his consciousness in a way where he could continue to maneuver in the game and keep it away from Angela, something that we know proved untrue by the end of her life. In like manner, Tommy thought that he was going to get to the top of the food chain in Chicago and keep his love affair with Maria, his now competitor's little sister, afloat. And this was one of the few mistakes he made throughout the season. A foolish perspective for sure, but as with Ghost, Tommy's ego and his pride had magnified because of the many things that had went his way towards the end of the season. I mean, after all, he conquered Miguel. He made friends with Che and the Estrada cartel. He had taken down all of his enemies, supposedly killed Claudia in jail, gained full control over the life of Victor Flynn, completely and utterly sunned Gennard, at least from his own standing, and had usurped the Serbians, a conflict that he long held even from the past season. This was Tommy's "no one can stop me" moment. Pun intended, of course, because as we remember, the final episode that we saw Ghost in prior to being shot by Tariq was "No One Can Stop Me." He was in that energy, in that groove, and in that flow. But like Ghost, Tommy was thwarted, although this time not by a bullet in the heart, literally, but figuratively so. Because by Miguel taking Maria from him, he did in fact snatch his heart. He snatched the one thing that he loved. And you can see it in Tommy's face in that final reaction, that anger, wrath-filled, demonic expression that he relayed to the audience, insinuating that there will indeed be hell to pay in the next season. Because unlike Ghost, Tommy is still alive and still has breath in his body, at least for now. And that's another interesting correlation, because the feds prior to this season believed Tommy to be dead, and him operating in life, even though assumed to be dead, makes him like a ghost in a way. And Ghost, by comparison, is indeed dead, but he still operates in life as displayed by his actions and maneuvers throughout the Power Ghost series and the way he affects Tariq's life, even though he's supposed to be dead. The two longtime brothers share a unique kinship, and although one of them is officially off the board, his presence is still magnified by the only one living. And those comparisons will continue throughout Tommy's journey. But what are your thoughts on all of this? What are some ways that you noticed Tommy acting like Ghost throughout Power Force Season 2? Be sure to drop me your opinions in the comments below. As always, I thank you for watching today's video. If you liked today's video, go ahead and drop $1 on that Cash App for us, hit the like button, share it with your friends who are Power fans, and subscribe for more content such as this. This is Rudy P. Magic of Rudy P. Magic Beats, and have a blessed one until the next one. Peace, y'all.